Healthy Rebel Radio is sponsored by the Healthy Rebel app. 300 plus secretly healthy, delicious, mouth-watering dessert and treat recipes made with all-natural, whole food ingredients. Now available for download on the App Store and Google Play. Find out more details at healthyrebel.com.
Welcome to Healthy Rebel Radio. I'm your host, Dr. David Deiser, and I'm here with my DAMY Health Healthy Rebel co-founder, Amy Lane. Good morning.
Good morning.
Let's get straight into it. This morning, interval training is back into the news.
Ooh.
We've been talking about interval training for a long time now, and I know that your views have changed a bit over the course of the years. We used to be out on the hills in Victoria every single day. That was similar to my military time, I think.
That was a phase, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was a phase.
Yeah.
It was super effective, but how do you feel about interval training now? Where do you stand?
I think it's great. But I think my whole outlook on workouts has changed. I think I've relaxed a bit in it. Not that I'm saying that my workouts have relaxed. My workouts are intense. It's just they don't monopolize my life, and I don't want them to monopolize my members' lives. So you and I used to do like 5 days of intervals a week, and then also on top of that 2 days of functional training, which basically was like another hour each day of intervals.
Yeah, it's very similar.
So, and on top of that, I would also do steady state cardio, and I'd also do weights.
Mm-hmm. It's like athlete training, really. You were doing 2 days at one point.
It was. But and the thing is, unless you're an athlete, I really don't think that your commitment should be 2 to 3 hours a day of workouts. I think it's unrealistic.
You think?
You think? So, and the other great news is that, I've found other ways to have a small, tight, lean, healthy body while also having energy. At that time, I remember I was very tired.
Oh, yeah.
You
that was during the phase where you were becoming burnt out.
Oh,
I would say.
100%. I did some terrible things to my body during that time. So with my members, I'm very much into interval training. Mm-hmm. So, and depending on their fitness level, everybody can do it. That's what I love. So, someone that's quite a bit overweight, or someone that, say is 65 or older and has never worked out, we'll start with walking and then speed walking. Mm-hmm. So we'll walk a minute, maybe speed walk a minute. And that's really effective and really great. And that also builds up, cardiovascular endurance. It's a wonderful thing, and it also is great results. Now, for my girls that are, more fit or are trying to achieve, a leaner stature, we'll go from, a jog run or, kind of a walk sprint.
Right, okay.
And sometimes I'll use, 30 seconds on, 30 seconds off, and sometimes we'll just use the light poles if they're outside.
Yeah, that works.
That's easy too. But, now I don't recommend it over 3 days.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, interesting. Okay, so you're talking about 3 days being maximum. The study that came up this morning and that brought interval training back into the news is talking about how it's so great for reducing the possibility of developing type 2 diabetes, and how interval training is so great for weight loss. Now, they're marketing it as a quick way of regulating your insulin release and improving your insulin response. Now, in this study, they're talking about 200 to 300 minutes a week.
I know.
Which I think was very high. I mean, maybe it's a misprint, but that would be well beyond. I know that when we treat type 2 diabetes, the recommended exercise is 150 minutes of steady state cardio per week, which is 30 minutes 5 times a week.
Right.
So for them to come out, this one researcher, and say, okay, 200 to 300 minutes of interval training would be less work and easier. I'm not sure if that's the case. I mean, it's way more than what you're recommending.
Oh, definitely. I mean, depending on people's schedules, I say, when we're starting out, we'll do 4 days a week, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, optimal.
Depends on your goals too, doesn't it?
It does. But just for health, I mean, personally, I've come to a place where I think you should move your body at least 6 days a week.
Yes,
I now move my body 7 days a week, where I used to say do 5 to 6. But my workouts are different. They don't monopolize my life. I recover faster. I can, function. I have brain function,
Well, you've perfected the all-day workout.
Yeah, that's another thing that I do on busy days.
Which is sort of like interval training.
We should do a whole
show on all-day workout.
Let's talk about the all-day workout tomorrow.
Okay.
Because I really have created it.
That down. Yeah, sounds good.
And I don't think people know what it is.
The all-day workout. And it has a nice song that goes with it as well.
I also sing while I do it. It's anyway, let's not go there today.
So what type of interval training do you recommend? I think it's a combination of functional and the movement. So interval training is you move quickly or you do something quickly and then you take a little break and then you keep going.
Well, I think personally, from personal experience, if you want abs and you want to lean out quickly, sprints. If you're physically able to do them, I'm telling you, nothing.
Sprints are really great.
Nothing does it like sprints. If you want your butt to, just magically shrink up and just get tight and for your stomach to be tight, I'm telling you, sprints is the best bang. Like I say to people, if you don't have time, if they're on the road, if they're like, what should I do? I have 30 minutes. I only have 30 minutes. What should I do? Sprints.
Yes, definitely. It's
30
the
seconds
best
on,
use of your time.
30 seconds off. Sprints.
Now, it's not for everyone, obviously.
No.
But it's so effective if you can do it.
If you physically can do it, it works. And it's also torture. You don't want to do it, but then once you do it, you feel like you're Rocky. You're just like, I am the best. I am athletic. It's a real boost. So
I find, especially if you have the ability to do a functional with the sprints. So like, I know track training is literally the worst.
Yeah.
Like in terms of your mental, like I'm going to the track. But if you're able to do a sprint and then do a functional like squats or 100%. Lunges, oh my gosh, it's torture.
And one of our things to kick up your workouts is if you're feeling like you want to kick it up and you don't have a lot of time, so you're doing your weights, I'll often throw in, do a set of, bicep curls and then do 15 jump squats. And you want to see results. I'm telling you, like that, this is, do, your triceps and then do walking lunges and just keep your heart rate up the whole time and just keep it. Oh yeah. I mean, it works if you do it.
Yeah. I mean, I think like what you're, working different muscle groups is so great for the metabolism. If you can do a bunch of different muscle groups at once, then all of a sudden you're burning like crazy.
And the other thing is that I've come to respect is the intensity and attention you bring to workouts. I've seen people that go through the motions and do everything they should be doing, but they're not connecting their mind to their body. They're not holding their muscles. They're not thinking about their workouts. They're not, thinking that they're strong, they're powerful. They're not envisioning themselves lean. They're not holding their abs tight. They're not, doing proper form, and they're just kind of going through the motions, and they don't get results.
Right.
And then I've seen the exact opposite. I've seen myself go through a phase where I've just been so busy that all I've had time for is like speed walking. And I've been in the best shape of my life. But when I'm speed walking, I'm holding my abs tight. I'm moving my arms. I'm visualizing, really tightening my tush in every, movement. That combination and in the intensity, I don't care what anybody says, you can make any workout hard.
It's true.
And if you think your workout isn't hard, it's what you're bringing to the workout. Because I can make doing my weights super easy and it's just like, here I am, lifting my weights, doing my thing. Or I can connect my mind to my muscles and I can every movement connect to that and really put that tension in there and I can have a killer workout. So I've really come to respect what we bring to our workouts.
Well, you seem to be so good at setting your intention and then following it. I mean, it's like everything in your life, but I mean, this is a daily thing where you do this, where you set your intention for the workout and it's not like I don't even think it's a conscious thing at this point. This is how you work out.
No, but that's like the muscle of the brain that we talk about.
Your muscle memory in terms of brain function, yeah.
I've trained myself. I've let go of resistance of workouts. I now respect my body. I feel grateful that I'm able to work out. And, I really have a saying to myself when I'm being lazy or I don't feel like getting out there or I don't feel like doing my workouts. I say, body in motion stays in motion. And I kind of switched, in my early 20s, I think it was all about looking hot. And now it's about being healthy and feeling good and feeling strong and feeling, beautiful and all that stuff.
Yeah. It sort of brings everything back to this one thing. When I listen to you say this, I can tell that it's all, so much of it has been developed from your spiritual side, from your practice.
100%.
From your, changing that conscious into the subconscious.
Yeah.
And, bringing it back to setting your intention. for different things.
100%.
It's so powerful when you can make those changes that then they start to stick.
Totally. And it's not to say that vain reasons are less than or should be, shamed or anything like that, because I'm not into however you come through the doorway of anything is awesome. So if you want to look sexy naked, no shame.
No shame.
You go for that, but let's also work on some foundational reasons that will keep you sexy naked, right? So then you're sexy naked, but that's not your main focus. It just is.
Right. Now you're into it, and now there's everything else comes up that may be more important.
Completely.
Definitely. So story number 2 is about it's about depression, and it's about treatments for anxiety and depression. Now, this has been brought back into the news this morning by the Wall Street Journal, because we're trying to find new ways to treat depression. And neurofeedback is what they're speaking of, and it's been used for a while now, but it's becoming mainstream, and it's something that I think we need to be doing on a major scale. I think it's a really great therapy, and I should explain it a bit. Neurofeedback is when you're set up to a computer. It's usually in a psychiatrist's office, and you have the diodes on your head, and you're going through talk therapy, or you're going through some drills, and you're watching the different areas of your brain light up. And then you can use that to treat depression, because it's like cognitive therapy, but you're actually seeing how your brain is changing to how you're thinking. So it's very cool. Now, the reason it's important, 17% of North Americans will have depression in their lifetime, which I think is very high. And the newest trial for one of the most common SSRIs for treating depression, 3,000 patients, and only 1/3 of them after 14 weeks felt anything or had a response in a positive way.
Wow.
Which I would say is very close to placebo. I'd have to look up the numbers, but I wouldn't say that placebo would be much lower than 30%. So we need other ways. These drugs aren't doing it for everyone. So neurofeedback, what do you think of this? What would you think if you're going through, say, at your darkest time, and you're going through some of the things you've been through, and you're watching your brain light up in different ways, and then you're being coached?
For myself, when I went through some really difficult, challenging years between 12 and 15, and it was very dark, and I didn't have the skills to recognize what was upsetting me. And my parents, went to counseling with me, and I sat there frustrated because I couldn't verbalize, I couldn't connect and now as an adult I can look back and I see exactly what was wrong. And if I had those skills, so the way I could see this really powerfully being used is, I look back on my younger self and I think of myself with these diodes on, and they could go through, tell me about your life, tell me about what goes on in your daily, whatever. And if certain people came into the conversation, then probably things would light up, and probably they would be able to dive into that.
Right.
Because I don't even think once it was ever hit on what my actual problems were. It was a whole lot of other things. Right. Oh, she's going through puberty. Oh, she's just, bad. That was thrown around a lot, but nothing that was actually causing me trauma was ever hit on. Now, that would have worked.
That would be really, really
because
great
I wasn't
to see
able to
for kids.
verbalize it.
No, totally. And I'm sure so many kids aren't. They're just feeling awful. And
then I think to myself today, if I hadn't, done the last 10 years of work, I'd still be suppressing that, and there'd still be sadness. Think about that.
Right, yeah.
It'd be powerful as an adult woman. They'd say, tell me about your childhood.
Definitely.
And obviously it would come up, and then I could recognize it. So I think for suppressed or unrecognized, what do you want to call it?
Emotions.
Emotions.
Really.
And for children, unbelievable.
Yeah, it could be really beneficial. Absolutely, yeah. And then at the same time, you can go through, what makes you feel good. Think about someone you love, and let's train that part of the brain.
You can fan that flame.
Exactly.
Yeah, focus more on that.
Look, this is what happens when you think about these things, and you have a positive mindset, and you do.
When I first heard this, I thought this was stupid, and now I think that this is brilliant.
But I think the angle for kids, I love it. I hope that it's going to be used soon.
And suppressed emotions.
Yeah,
I've had, over the years of just clients, and I'm by no means a psychologist, but I will, ask questions to people to empower them to think of certain aspects of their lives. And I have had I can't even count the number of times someone has said, I've literally never considered this before.
Mm-hmm. Oh, and wouldn't it be interesting to see how the amygdala or some of the different emotional centers of the brain light up in a way that would be different from a positive emotion? I mean, I think it'd be great.
Yeah, I do too.
Yeah. So, number 3, so we like neurofeedback. We've decided.
Well, I mean, and the other thing is, we don't run straight to drugs.
No, I mean, my gosh. Yeah, exactly.
You help someone actually deal with what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
And then if there is a need for medication, which, I'm not saying there isn't.
No, definitely.
Drugs are there to help us.
If 1,000 people out of 3,000 are getting relief, then they should be getting relief, definitely.
Right, definitely. And our stance on medications and all drugs they were developed for a reason, and we respect and heed them. It's the abuse of them that we want to stop.
Oh, absolutely.
And spread the message. But anyway, I think this is really cool.
Yeah, definitely.
I hope that it's accessible to more people.
Yes, me too. Oh, and the final thing, like what you were saying, the difference between meditation is you're getting out and you're meeting with people and you're talking to people and you're going through things, and it's like talk therapy. Mm-hmm. So there is still that, because a lot of people just take the SSRIs and they never do the therapy.
Right, so what you're doing is you're covering up the negative emotion or the negative,
right?
Your body's
with
negative.
With more serotonin.
Right, without ever dealing with what's going on underneath.
And eventually those cells burn out.
Yeah, it's scary.
Big time. Story number 3 is a little lighter, and I really love this one because it's a pizza study.
Oh, here we go.
And my stance on pizza.
Mm-hmm.
So this is a study of university students, and I don't know if it was a joke or if it was serious. I'll have to preface it by saying that. They took 250 students, they split them into 4 groups, 4 different rooms. In one room, they had small tables and pizzas cut into big slices and small slices. Okay? They put them on the table. In the other 2 rooms, they had really, really large tables. And they had pizzas cut into small slices and large slices. Of all the so then they sent the students into the room and said, eat as much pizza as you like. That's what they said. Eat as much as you'd like. Pretty large size. I mean, 60 or 65 students in each room. And the people who ate the least amount of pizza were the people who went into the room with the absolute largest table and the smallest slices. They ate about half as many calories as anyone else. What do you think of that?
Well, what comes to mind is just how big is this table?
Well, it's so funny you say that because the lead researcher says that the kids were tricked into focusing more on how massive the table was and forgot about eating the pizza.
That's what I
don't believe it.
I kind of feel like it was, all of a sudden you walk into a room and it's like Honey, I Shrunk the Kids,
oh yeah,
table
definitely.
there. No, I'm not going to be interested in pizza. I'm going to be totally focused on what is going on with this table and why is this giant table here. So,
but it brings up a good question. I mean, should we all be having giant tables?
Yeah, everyone go get giant furniture, and then we'll all eat less. I mean, it's kind of a silly. I don't get the point of the study. Like, if they're trying to say distraction or.
Well, they made a conclusion. The conclusion was, if you'd like to eat less, you can trick yourself by eating very small portions on very large tables.
That is the most foolish thing I've ever heard. It's foolish.
It's so funny. It's so funny. I wonder if it's true though. We need a bigger study. We need something.
Well, I know how we can do it.
How?
I can make us tiny, tiny little meals and put them on our plates, and then you let me know if you're satisfied.
No, the table needs to be larger than normal. We need a bigger table.
I can't.
Because the people who ate on the smaller tables, they ate the smaller slices and the larger slices at the same rate. They ate these slices are smaller. Let's just eat more of them.
The only thing I'm interested in this study is how big that table was.
I know.
I wish I had a visual. I wish I had some measurements.
I'm gonna try and find a visual.
Yeah.
I hope it's major.
I know. I secretly hope it's just ridiculously large.
Yeah.
This is silly.
It's funny. The last one here is from CNN.com, and I went to CNN.com, and I go there often for health stories.
You do?
I do. Oh yeah, definitely. I go to all the channels.
Oh, I don't know how you do it.
Now before I get into the story, there was an alert on the top. We don't have to get into it, but I wanted to read it. 2015 was the Earth's warmest year on record since we started measuring in 1880. And December was the warmest month ever.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. That's shocking.
And that was on the top bar of the
That was
website.
the top bar. Yeah, it was an urgent note.
Did your heart rate go up?
It did.
Yeah.
Please note, it's never been this warm since we started measuring. Anyhow, it has nothing to do with... Well, it does have things to do with health, really.
Oh, it has lots to do with health, because if you want to lower your carbon footprint, one of the easiest things you can do is drop meat for 1 meal a week.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, that's been proven.
Did you see the billboard going around?
No.
Oh, darn it. I could have contributed to this. There's this billboard going around that says something like, if you want to, lessen your carbon imprint, you can, not shower for a month, not something else ridiculous, whatever, or not order the burger for lunch once a week.
Wow.
It's really
and
powerful.
It was equal, they said?
Yeah, let's read.
Okay.
I'll
put
find
it together.
Yeah, and we'll bring it up tomorrow, and we'll add it to the post. It's really, really cool.
Okay.
And I know everyone thinks I'm a veggie and water pusher, but I'm just saying 1 meal a week. If you love meat, just 1 meal a week, and then you can feel really good that you're...
Absolutely.
And the reason is because the water it takes to grow, to keep cows healthy and to water the grass that they're eating, and then the emissions that cows actually put off. So maybe we could add some of that information. We'll talk about it tomorrow.
Okay, sounds good. So what actually came up on CNN was this title that says, "Your doctor will judge you." So I had to read that, obviously. It was a study that they do every year. They send out a survey to physicians in the U.S. And specialists, and they do, what's the rate of burnout and what's the rate of bias. And what they found was people reported back anonymously that 40% of these 15,000 physicians have biases towards certain groups of people. And the most popular bias was to people with emotional difficulties or emotional problems, and people who are overweight. And they're actually reporting, okay, we have biases against these people. And I think it brings up a huge conversation on the topic. We may not have time for this today, but it's something that all health professionals need to check in with, and we have to be cognizant about, like, what are our biases, and go through them and work through them and focus on treating everyone equally. And I think that really no profession is able to step aside from this completely. No. But these sorts of studies can bring up work that needs to be done.
A reality check.
Absolutely.
I mean, the first thing that comes to mind is, of course, I firsthand know how stressful that job is, by bearing witness to it. It's a very stressful job. And one of the reasons, that I'm so happy that you decided to go into medicine was just who you are, base of a person. Like, you're the least judgmental person I know.
Oh, thank you.
Genuinely. So you just don't judge. You just don't. It's not part of your DNA. So I know that you'll be able to treat people and equally from an authentic place, which I think is really powerful and, a gift to the world. But I also understand that this is an extremely stressful job. And a lot of these doctors are, walk-in clinics and certain areas.
Emergency physicians. Yeah.
And they're bombarded constantly. So probably that's a bit of, like, burnout, jaded negativity that's going on as well.
Right.
I completely understand it. It's not like I wouldn't villainize these people for having biases.
No,
we obviously don't want anybody, especially people in those kinds of positions, officers or, teachers or physicians. We don't want any of those people that are dealing with the community to have biases, because that alters how you treat people ultimately, and that could be very dangerous. But I do have compassion towards how that could happen.
Oh, for sure.
But how can you undo that?
But it's like what you brought up. This is the reason they did the study, was about burnout. It's like what you're saying. I'm sure that burnout contributes to this. Well, they're saying more bias leads to more burnout, and more burnout leads to more bias.
I knew it.
So, yeah, the other...
And the reason that I can relate to that as well is from we all can relate to that. You start to have a bad day, and then you wake up and you're grumpy, you didn't get enough sleep, or you ate too heavy the night before. You wake up, then you bump your toe, then you go to do whatever, and your hair dryer doesn't work, and you're like, oh, this is the worst day, and then you go to get breakfast and it's cold, or you're out of milk for your coffee, and then you go to work and Brenda's being a real, you know, that's your perceptual lens.
Mm-hmm.
That's not necessarily reality.
No,
it's
right.
what
It's
we are
based on your
feeding,
experiences.
and then it's what we're bringing out. So if I'm in a negative place, I'm going to see negative.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas if I wake up and I'm like, you know, visualizing the birds chirping, and I'm like, ah, you know.
This is what she does.
This is my life. You know, then I'm going to set the tone, and I'm going to attract, or I'm going to see good. So it's kind of like, I always picture it as putting on glasses, you know, what like people say in usually a condescending way, oh, the rose-colored glasses.
Right.
Well, whatever.
Yeah.
Life is awesome.
Exactly.
You know, and the best way to help people that don't think life is awesome is to focus on how awesome life is.
Yeah, focus on the good.
Focus on the good. You're only going to benefit everybody and yourself and that type
Definitely.
of stuff. But anyway, I completely understand with compassion where this is coming from. Now, the what's the solution?
Well, I mean, they 40% said they had bias, but only 15% said that it affected their practice.
Well, I mean, maybe it's unrecognized.
And so this is what this lead researcher is studying. So this is just their conscious bias. This is the reporting. So what is the unconscious
100%
bias that's
we
happening?
all think that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if we right now did a study on people that were grumpy, and we said, how is this affecting your day? Do you think that you're experiencing more negativity in your day because you're grumpy? I'm going to tell you right now, 99% would say, of course not. This is my life.
Right,
like they don't think they're contributing to life. They don't think it's pliable.
Mm-hmm.
They don't think it's interactive. They think this is reality. And coming from someone that saw a real, I used to be that person.
Mm-hmm.
And I never would have believed that I had any impact on it.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, that's funny.
I get it.
Yeah.
And now I see the other side of it. Right?
Absolutely.
So it's something you have to train yourself, and no one can do it for you.
No, I mean, were you told? Did you find out yourself? Like, what changed?
No, like I had a real enlightened moment.
Okay.
So we'll have to go into that another.
For sure.
Yeah, I was at a real bottom. You know, I thought life was over, and I just had this moment of inspiration, and I'll never forget it. I was sitting on these stairs, and I just had this moment where I just realized that I could change my story, and I could change my perception, and I didn't have to be, you know, my life experiences, that I could decide to be something else.
Wow.
And then I chased that for, 15 years.
For sure.
But
cool. I try to teach people that it's hard.
Well, yeah, unless
changing your experiences, you need to go through it, don't you?
Yeah, you do.
You do.
Mm.
Before we finish, I want to read the other triggers. So we talked about emotional problems and being overweight, but the other triggers that were reported were intelligence level, language differences, insurance coverage, age, income level, race, and attractiveness. So something to keep in mind, that we need to sort of regulate that and make sure that it's not affecting on a major scale. And I mean, it brings us back to the other day when we were discussing about the UK physicians, where women were reporting that this was reported in a study that when they came in with personality changes, memory loss, and a few other symptoms, they were getting less brain scans than what their male counterparts were.
100%.
So it's something to check in with.
Definitely, and I always use these types of studies not from the perspective. Anytime something like this comes into my awareness, and I think this should be true for all of us. If you hear this, it's not about putting the doctors. Oh, these doctors are this.
No,
I think
absolutely
I think that we should all use this to check in with ourselves.
Definitely.
Where are these old biases maybe that are still in my brain or my heart that I'm holding against people, or I'm viewing the world with that lens? Is there a group of people that I believe are all a certain thing because of, life experiences or what I see on TV or what I see advertised, or, I always use these things to check in with myself.
Definitely. It's a good reminder.
Definitely.
Because it can happen to anybody.
Oh, yeah. 100%.
For sure. That's Healthy Rebel Radio, episode 12. Thank you so much for listening. Have a great day.
See you.
Healthy Rebel Radio is presented by the online health and wellness center, DAMYHealth.com. Since 2009, Amy Lane has successfully coached thousands of women through her signature program, the Bikini Body Program. Join today to work exclusively with Amy to unveil your greatest yet to be from the inside out. Go to DAMYHealth.com for more information.
Thank you for listening to Healthy Rebel Radio. Please connect with us on our community pages on Facebook, Pinterest, and Instagram, all at the handle @DAMY Health. For weekly recipes, articles, and all our episodes straight to your inbox, join our newsletter at damyhealth.com. You can find all the links discussed in today's episode in the show notes. Thank you for joining us, and see you tomorrow.